Hello, everybody.
Hey, this is episode 2
of
the podcast.
which Ryan keeps forgetting the name of.
No, it's definitely
You watch it,
so you don't have to.
Yeah, Ryan. Wow.
We watched. Okay, so the premise is we watch
Oh, yeah.
a terrible movie.
Just a really, really bad movie that hopefully not too many people have seen, and then we talk about
it. We let you know what it's all about.
How weird it was.
And today we picked an especially terrible movie, Looper, starring Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
That was a good movie.
It's a really good movie. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Time travel and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah.
That's not the movie we did.
Nope. We instead watched Star Wars: The Holiday Special from 1978.
Nailed it.
Which, if you've seen the series, was filmed after Episode 4, A New Hope, but before.
It'd be funny if it was filmed before. before
this
George
is
Lucas,
the introduction to Star Wars.
Before he ever even thought about doing an actual movie, he was like, "I'm going to do a holiday special on TV.
Yeah.
They're going to love it."
Blow everyone's minds.
Sorry, go ahead.
But it was before Episode 5, right? Empire Strikes Back.
Right. So set the scene. First Star Wars movie comes out of all time.
Yeah.
And 1 year later, everyone knows the second movie's coming in a couple years, and they're like, "All right, we've got to do something to keep everyone enticed, to sell some toys, and to keep everyone amped. So why not do a TV special?"
But the problem with that is that it was hugely successful, right? They didn't even
What was the
Episode 4?
Yeah. Well, actually, a surprise hit is what I read.
Yeah. So why did they even need to do this?
No, they didn't. So okay, that's what I was. Everyone knows that it's a.
Everyone knows that it's a surprise hit.
I just realized that when I said it turns out Star Wars is a surprise hit, it sounds as if like this is the first time I'm hearing Star Wars. But the point being that it was a surprise hit for George Lucas, and so I think that if you imagine yourself as young George Lucas, you have a hit movie all of a sudden, and someone comes to you and like, "Hey, like, why don't we do a TV special?" You're probably like, "Okay, whatever."
Oh, I
Go
see.
for it.
So it wasn't trying to I got it.
I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. No one knows. No one knows what happened. We don't even know what happened, actually, and we just watched the movie.
He wasn't rolling in enough cash at that point.
I don't think he got paid. I don't think anyone got paid for this.
Yeah. Not even the actors.
Okay, so this was a TV special on CBS, 2 hours, and I don't know, do we recap it? This is where we recap it, right?
I think this is where I'm not going to explain the premise, because if anybody listened to Episode 1, I'm not very good at doing that. I might give that honor to Ryan this time.
Alright, well, let's see.
Which is really difficult to explain this movie, because it is absolutely ridiculous.
I think the only thing that can be said is that this movie centers around Chewbacca, who is the furry character from Star Wars, for anyone that isn't super familiar.
He's a Wookiee.
He's a
Yeah.
Wookiee.
We can call him that.
To be specific.
Yeah.
This is going to get real nerdy real fast. And he is trying to make it home to his family, who, that's new to everybody. It was only for the holiday special that he has a family, but he's trying to make it home for Life Day, which we can only assume is some sort of pseudo-Christmas holiday.
On the Wookiee planet.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, right.
Who knows how their history went and what they... Well, we should get into that later, actually. That would be a good meaty topic. But yeah, he's trying to get home, and then most of it's about his family sort of moping that he's not there and getting harassed by stormtroopers and in a pretty real and serious way, and then that's it. And in between is a bunch of just complete insanity that's really hard to describe. So we're going to cherry pick some of it and try and make sense of it, I guess.
Yeah, it's not easy to explain this movie. It's already shocking enough, I think, being exposed to Chewie's immediate family, because they're quite the cast of characters.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the way to start it. The movie starts out and you just you zoom in on Chewie's home.
It's like bam, Chewie's mom, bam, Chewie's dad,
Chewie's son,
weird son. What are their names? Do you recall?
Mala
is the mom.
Yeah, aka wife.
Yeah.
Let's all do it from the perspective of Chewie. It's Chewie's wife, Mala.
Got it.
Chewie's dad, Lumpy.
Chewie's
I have it in my
wife
notes.
and then
Itchy.
dad.
Itchy. The dad is Itchy, and the son is Lumpy.
So the problem with Itchy, Itchy looks terrifying, and also he's totally white. He looks like
he's totally white. What's that?
Well, no, like he looks like
he's gray. He's gray.
He's gray. Oh,
he's old. He's elderly.
So he has like gray. That's what they're going for.
You didn't catch that?
Yeah, I totally did. Well, he looks hideous.
He does look hideous,
I guess.
The more important aspect of starting out with that, and for picking those characters as the central point of this entire special, is that Wookiees don't speak English, or any discernible language for that matter. It's just a series of grunts. So
right, but they have their own language though. Because
only they can understand, and for actual viewers of Earth that are watching the movie, it's just garbage.
It is garbage. Just on that thought real quick, Han Solo can perfectly understand Chewie, right?
Yeah.
As can Luke Skywalker. We know that for a fact.
Well,
after watching this show.
I think, I don't know,
nobody else.
I disagree. I think Luke was just playing it cool. He was like, how about that?
Okay, that's fair. But Han, for sure, because they're, Chewie's a co-pilot.
Yeah.
He needs to be able to communicate. Yeah.
They've reached out a system, but
for us, this show is just the first 10 minutes. They're just talking amongst themselves.
It's like 25 minutes of gesturing and grunting. And they're doing mundane things too. That's the other thing worth noting. It's like there's a whole scene of like washing the dishes and like
doing the laundry and stuff.
Doing the laundry. Like this is how the whole thing starts. So like if you're a TV viewer in 1978 and you're like, oh my god, there's a Star Wars holiday special coming on. Like this is gonna be awesome. For the first 25 minutes, there's no dialogue, and it's just sort of piddling around the house.
It kind of wears on you because it really doesn't quite go anywhere until actually Lumpy, the son, he finally sits down after doing 25 minutes of chores and turns on his little virtual like chessboard game thing, which was also featured in the movies. Only
they use it totally different here.
Use it totally different here. It he activates it, and then all of a sudden it's just this 5+ minutes of these gymnasts.
There's juggling.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff, like people doing backflips and cartwheels and all sorts of gymnastics. It's like Cirque du Soleil, and they're in all these like elaborate costumes with like feathers and stuff. And Lumpy is just watching this and he's clapping and he's just you forgot who that was.
Well, I was like, I don't. Lumpy's such a. Okay,
it's so weird. Yeah, it's so weird. And he's, thoroughly enjoying it, and then the show I guess it just ends after a few minutes.
Yeah. What happens is, actually, the movie, the theme of we were calling it a movie, it's not really a movie. Whatever. The theme of the whole thing is that, because nothing's happening, and it's really what it is a TV variety show, and the writers, what they did is to try and, actually create something happening. All they did was just interpose all these different, acts that happen, and to do that, they basically put screens all around this living room. So everything takes place from this living room, and they just go to a different screen, and they're like, oh, I'm going to open up this, cabinet, and there's a screen in here, and it's a TV, and I'm communicating with, I'm watching a cooking show, or I'm communicating with the shopkeep, or I'm, watching this, concert by Jefferson Starship, or whatever. It's all, everything is, these,
I love that you're saying those as random examples, but all those things actually happen in the show.
That's what all of this is. It's just scene after scene of this Wookiee family distressed that their patriarch isn't coming home for Life Day, and then entertaining themselves with this just batshit crazy stuff that's supposed to be futuristic, but none of it is. That's the other funny part. Yeah. It's It's like this takes place in a universe where there's like interstellar travel and like spaceships and lasers, and yet like the entertainment is like just an actual cooking show, or like actual jugglers with like bowling pins and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it just asinine.
You can't really believe it. It really takes you out of the universe.
What would the equivalent be of like watching something that old timey to them? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't even go that far back, right?
No, yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, I just don't understand it. And yeah, so they're waiting on Chewie. Wait, by the way, where is Chewie? He's
just he's always. I don't know. Like, is he ever home? I don't know.
Well, he's just in space with Han Solo.
They're sort of doing their thing, just broing out.
Yeah, they're just broing out, and they're fighting TIE fighters all the time. And by the way, they interject clips from the actual movie.
Well, they have
all throughout. Yeah. But then it'll show Han and Chewie in the cockpit, and then that's clearly filmed just for the special. Yeah. But everything else, like...
It's also hilarious how bouncy around the cockpit is for the special. Yeah. Like, it's almost like, I don't know
it's kind of campy. You can picture, like, two guys on either side of it just shaking. Or like
totally. Yeah. Okay, so how do we get into some actual... Because I've got a couple of ideas here that I want to get into, but we have to talk about the characters... A couple of key characters here.
I don't know. I mean, should we try and like tell the story?
No. Let's get into this. I think we can kind of go a little bit linearly. We already talked about how they're like piddling around the house and doing all that kind of stuff, right? So I think one of the scenes that's actually like somewhat meaningful to the story that happens is that they like cut to some camera that's inside a store, like a general store, and they're basically just listening in on a conversation that this shopkeeper's having with a customer. And that shopkeeper ends up becoming pretty key because he actually comes and visits the house. That's the scene where actually he's trying to sell the pocket-sized aquarium to the bad guy.
Yeah, that was pretty weird.
Yeah.
That was kind of a pointless scene, actually. He was just like, hey, I've got all these things, and he pulls out all these like weird like goods or whatever that he's selling. He's like, oh, those idiot Wookiees, they'll buy anything.
Well, no.
Which is weird because they're also tuning in watching this, right?
Yeah. No. Well, the whole, that actually is all about the guy showing that he's actually loyal to the family, but he's just trying to like
so he wasn't really calling them idiots.
Unless he was. I don't think he knew that they were listening in at the time, so I think he might have been actually being insulting. Maybe
I think so.
Maybe all that afterwards was
that was the part I didn't get because I was like, well, if he doesn't like the Wookiees, but then all of a sudden he's buddy with them.
You know what? I bet they called into his shop. He was dealing with a customer, and he was like, yeah, these idiot Wookiees, they'll buy anything. And then, like halfway through the conversation, remember he turns around, he looks at the camera, and he's like, oh, I have a customer here. He's on a Wookiee. By the way, he owns a store on a Wookiee planet.
That's true.
So if some person comes into the store and he's talking trash about Wookiees, he literally is turning off his entire planet's worth of customers. So he probably now is like, all he's doing is backpedaling and trying to be like, okay, I have to save face with this family.
Yeah.
So he immediately goes to that house.
That's an interesting theory. Wow. Yeah.
He goes to the house, remember? Because he shows up at the house. What does he have with him? Gifts.
Yeah. Because it's Life Day.
We thought because it's Life Day, but it's probably because
he didn't want to piss off like one of his best customers. Wow.
Whoa. Hey, you know what's interesting too? When he shows up with the gift, I thought it was really weird that what's the little kid, Lumpy or Lumpy. Salty or Lumpy. Is Lumpy a little kid?
Lumpy is the little, I think so.
So
Salty.
Lumpy grabs. Okay, the shopkeeper comes and gives a gift to Lumpy. Yeah. And Lumpy, what's he do? He immediately runs upstairs and opens it. That's kind of a weird thing to do.
It's like a little kid. It's like you run away.
Do you?
I mean, well, not like run away.
With your gifts.
It's such a little kid thing. It's like
you take your gifts and run away and like
on the other side of town. Then you open it. No, he just ran upstairs to his room. He was like so excited. He set it down and he's like, "All right, I got to see what this is."
Well, it seems rude at the very least, and it almost seems like a weird thing to do. It's like, why would you do that when you open it in front of?
That's true. And whoa, that was so weird. He opened it up. What? Okay. This is where the movie started to get really... Should we dive into this part? I feel like we can't just go, because this is one of the craziest parts.
We're talking about the most coherent stuff, and it's not making sense. Like, there's no thread to connect any of this. Yeah, talk about the video. Are you talking about the video?
Yeah, I mean,
you can't describe it.
It's hard to describe. It's really tough. Like, okay, so he opens the present, he's super excited, and he dumps out this, like, computer thing, right? And then all these nuts and bolts or whatever. And he's like, well, I don't know how to put this together. So he turns to one of, 500 flat screens.
They have them everywhere.
They're everywhere. Yeah. And it's this instructional video that powers on. And it's this guy who, he's like, oh, thank you for purchasing your Supermatic 5000 or whatever.
That's pretty good.
And he's like, here's how you operate it. And then he, like, suddenly turns into this weird robot, and he just slows down, and he's, like, moving his arms around like a robot. And it's all, like, physical comedy, which that's why it's hard to, like, explain over the podcast. But for us, we thought, we looked at each other while we were watching it, and we're like, is this just part of the show that, like, kind of, like, screwed up a little bit? Like, it didn't mean to do slow-mo right here. But no, it...
Yeah, I think it's hard because, like, the podcast is called For Now until we change it. Mm-hmm. Unless it's already changed by the time you're listening to this, in which case it's confusing that what we're saying and the title that it appears on it is different. But let's pretend the podcast is still We Watch So You Don't Have To. It's almost like I'm torn on this movie because it's like I almost want to be like, you know what, you should watch this movie because it's so insane that it's hard to grasp how. I mean, like, literally, when we were reading beforehand, it said it was the #1 worst abomination in television history, according to, like, one guy. And George Lucas actually said he would, if he had the time, he would go out and take every copy and crush it with a sledgehammer or something. Like, a direct quote from George Lucas. That's how he feels about this actual, like, thing. So, on one hand, I'm like, you almost have to see it because it's so crazy and you can't understand how it is. But it was also so boring and bad in between so much of it that it was like, I mean, we checked to see when it was over, like, I don't know what, a dozen times? It
just seemed like it was never going to end. It's what, like 97 minutes, the runtime or something like that? And I swear, you pause it at one point, we're like, God, we have 20 minutes left. And then it felt like an eternity passed, and then you pause again, minutes. It was still 20 minutes left. It was only like 60 seconds or something that it passed.
That's what happens when all you're doing is watching, like, vignettes of pointless entertainment from other, like, people's points of view. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just nothing. It was all just filler, you know?
Yeah. Let's skip ahead. We got nothing here.
Wait. I just thought of something really funny. Okay. So when they show the shopkeeper, we were just talking about that scene, right?
Yeah.
We called him idiot or whatever. So he's talking to mom, Mala, right?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I've got this customer. He's like, I know what you're going to ask about. The shaggy carpet that you really wanted. And she got really excited and did her, like, grunt.
Right.
Whatever. And he's like, it was made by hand. Solo. Wow. Yeah, that was...
Well, he was trying to give her hints, and that was what it was.
Oh, do you think so?
Yeah, he was trying to tip
Why
her
do you
off
always
without...
like figure this stuff out, and then suddenly I'm...
Dude, I'm really into what the shopkeeper's doing. I was watching him very closely. He's my favorite character.
Oh, he was saying that because the Empire guy was like...
Yeah,
right
the bad guys.
I thought he was just making like a cheesy joke, like for us as the viewer, like,
no.
Oh, I get it, like Han Solo hints.
It was a very thinly veiled clue that he knew what she was...
Right.
So,
but he didn't know, like, what their status was as far as, like, them actually getting there or anything.
No
like
idea.
That.
But he's obviously very close to that family. You know what? I'm going to throw out another hypothesis that I just thought of. I think the shopkeeper might actually be the true father of Lumpy.
I'm not ready for that.
Hear me out.
Mostly because Lumpy is 100% Wookiee.
No. When you look at him, don't you think he could be? Well, we can't get into this whole interspecies type of. Are they interspecies? Is that correct?
Interspecies? Well, what you're hypothesizing is interspecies, but...
Is that true? Yeah. Well, like, if an alien mated with another alien, would that be interspecies?
Yeah. Well, I would think so. I mean, it's never happened before, right? But I assume that's what that would be.
Yeah. Well, let's call it that. Anyways, the point is, okay, look at the evidence. The shopkeeper, basically, he pops in and checks on the family. He has a direct... We never saw anybody else call on that direct, like, audio or FaceTime. Let's call it FaceTime.
That makes sense because the dad is actually missing, right?
Yeah.
There's just the grandpa, which... Yeah. The grandpa, yeah.
And by the way, here, the shopkeeper shows up. He gives the kid a gift, right? That's interesting. That's a weird thing to do for a shopkeeper. And
that's
maybe...
Right, for the kid, yeah.
Either he's saving face from being, like messed up, or he's actually, what we were talking about, where he's, like, actually smart and was just kind of giving a clue, and he's like, hey, Han Solo.
But wait a minute, because Mala,
Mala.
was Chewie's wife, and you're saying that she was having an affair with the shopkeeper?
Chewie's never there, dude.
Oh, wow.
And here's the thing. When Chewbacca finally, spoiler alert, Chewbacca finally shows up at the end of the movie.
Whoa, we're already at the end.
Well, yeah, we should have skipped to the end. But he shows up at the end. He doesn't even come over and say anything to Mala, first of all.
That's true.
That's weird. He barely acknowledges the kid. He doesn't even care. And guess what? The shopkeeper shows up, gives him a gift, does all this stuff. He's constantly trying to protect them from the stormtroopers that are just wrecking up the house. We didn't talk about that, but they really they really wrecked the place up.
Yeah, they destroyed it.
They
really wrecked that place up.
Well, it's kind of jarring. I kind of hated it.
Yeah.
They sort of focused all their anger on the child's room, which I thought was a weird choice.
They went upstairs and they just destroyed his room,
only his room, nothing
specifically,
else.
Yeah. All of his cute little toys, they ripped the heads off and stuff. Yeah. And then the guy was like, hey, kid, go clean your room. Or whatever. And the kid goes up. That was actually kind of a sad moment. I didn't get teary-eyed or anything. That was kind of...
You cried a little.
I cried.
But how out of place, right? And so weird.
Yeah, that was really weird. But I like your theory, though, about the affair with the shopkeeper. I think that's really interesting.
And I think he smooths it. I think he's clearly in with the whole family. When he shows up, he gives gifts to everyone, and he has a gift. What's he give to the grandpa?
Oh, wow! It's this weird sex machine device.
What? It's not sex machine. Okay, this is
year. That's why this is hard to explain.
Because of the sex machine. Yeah,
well, it's this thing. It's this chair. I thought it was an electric chair or something at first, and so the Itchy sits down. His name's Itchy. It's so weird.
None of this makes any sense.
Itchy sits down, and then this helmet thing comes over, and the shopkeeper flips a switch, and he's like, "You're gonna love this," or something like that. And I don't have the internet. Can you explain what happens from then? Because it's so weird. And then
okay, so a woman appears in his vision.
He starts seeing colors and shapes,
it seems like
looking through a kaleidoscope, kind of.
It starts out, and the shopkeeper, by the way, prefaces this by being oh, you're gonna love this, if you know what I mean. You're gonna really love it. Wink, wink. It's coming on really strong. So it's okay, what is this? So it starts out with all the kaleidoscope, and you're oh, this is some he's tripping out or something.
Right.
And then all of a sudden a woman appears, and she's it starts to get sexual overtones, and she's oh, I'm your fantasy, and I know what you're thinking. You're so adorable, and all this stuff.
It's like a 1-900 hotline commercial or something. She's speaking in this really soothing voice, and she's what does she say?
What are you referencing?
I don't know.
Hotlines?
I don't know. I'm just trying to compare it to something
something that you've done before.
Never.
Yeah, I don't know what it's compared to. And then just like everything else in the show, it transitions into a song. We haven't talked about that yet, but everything becomes a song. If it goes on long enough, then it just bursts into a song, which was what we might have to do right now.
It was I would much rather not. But she was like, I'm your fantasy, like stuff like that. And then it would pan over to him, and he would hit this button that would repeat. It would repeat what she was saying. Yeah.
You think so?
And then and she kept repeating like, I'm your fantasy. I'm your fantasy. And he was just like, kind of like getting off on that.
Did they imply the button that he was pressing the button?
Yeah. You didn't see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh man, yeah.
So that was the
sex chair.
Sex chair.
And you know, when that was over, it was just like
just took us up to an R rating, by the way.
Yeah. Well, gladly.
Well, our distribution will be.
We've already lost McDonald's.
McDonald's
from the last
Episode 1, we lose McDonald's. You are doing this, by the way. Episode 1, you lose McDonald's as a sponsor for us. That's easily millions in revenue that is lost. Episode 2,
we would have had that.
You take us from a PG, possibly a PG-13 rating, all the way up to an R, and now
that's what the people want to hear.
That's you connecting to the audience. I like that. Yeah. I like that. Okay, so what do you got here? I got like nothing left until the end.
I wrote down after the sex chair scene. Sorry, just back to that for a second. All I have in my notes is they did whatever the fuck they wanted.
Just generally about the movie.
Yeah.
I have something similar about the movie. It's just psychotic, is what I wrote.
Oh, that single word.
That.
Yeah, psychotic. That's a good way to describe it.
I actually have one other thing. Can we go all the way back to my favorite character, the shopkeeper? If he wasn't in this, by the way.
Is he your favorite character?
No, it's just that I think I relate to him the most because he has the most lines. When you
That's how you relate to him the most?
Yeah, because when you choose to make a movie where over half of all the characters don't speak, like every scene becomes a one-way conversation.
Like, you relate to him personally, but just for the simple fact that he spoke English the most.
Yeah, no, it's not like I'm not like personally a shopkeeper that's having an affair with a Wookiee. Has a son named Lumpy. I think I might have to name a son that I have.
Lumpy's a good name.
But can I real quick? In the shop, when the Imperial it's actually like a Death Star gunner. If you want to be specific about
Star Wars nerd over
here. Whatever. Anyways, which I'm not sure what he's doing in this store. He's still wearing his helmet or whatever. Anyways, the thing that he buys is a groomer.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what that is. Let's assume it's some high tech thing. But at the end, the shopkeeper says, "And good news, you can recharge it by plugging it in."
Yeah.
Like that.
That didn't exist back then.
What do you mean back then? This is supposed to be the far distant future.
Oh, right. Well, no, but I mean, it was filmed in 1978, right?
But are you saying that
so
things that
good on them.
walls weren't invented in 1978?
Well, I'm saying personal groomer things, probably, right?
Or are you talking about the existence of electricity?
No. No. Surely not that.
Yeah, wait.
This was only in the 70s.
Actually, either way, a personal groomer in 1978, you're saying good on them?
Well, I mean, it's like flat screen TVs. They didn't have those either, but they were all over the Wookiee house. I mean, they were trying.
Yeah.
That's my weak defense.
I guess it's what I was going to say is that it's extremely odd that you would have this, space, setting for a movie, and then the big thing that's cool about this product that you're selling would be that it's it has a cord that plugs in. It's kind of the opposite.
They could have used that platform to actually market a real life product or something.
That would have been so. Can you imagine if they just had Star Wars toys on the shelf?
Yeah, that actually would have been weird. But I don't know. That was such an obscure thing, like a weird personal groomer or something. And the shopkeeper was like, "Well." He was like, I use this all the time, and then the Imperial gunner?
It's a Death Star gunner.
Death Star gunner, whatever. He smelled him, and then the shopkeeper
smelled him.
Yeah, then the shopkeeper backpedaled, and he was like, "Well, I don't use it all the time," or something like that.
So it's like a baby.
It was a weird hygiene joke.
Yeah,
and it just every joke, it just kind of left you going,
really lackluster, huh?
Yeah.
Well.
I feel like this is going well.
Yeah, no, I think it's going. Well, let's do a call out to the audience. How do you? call us and let us know. What do you think? On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think this is going?
Yeah.
All right. Waiting for callers.
Again, Ryan, it's not that great.
You want to just skip to the end? Because, I mean, we're like, Lord knows, we're like 30 minutes into this whole thing.
We didn't actually set a timer.
No, but we're 30 minutes in.
We're 30 minutes?
Yeah,
We've been talking for 30 minutes?
It says it right there.
Terrible. Okay.
Unless we edit this and now people are like, oh, that's not
there's a few things I want to talk about.
Okay.
With this show. The first one.
Should have done this about 20 minutes ago. Where were you when we were
I know you're trying to wrap this up, but we're forgetting a very important part of this show, which was when Lumpy...
It's always about Lumpy. The whole thing's about the shopkeeper and Lumpy. They should call it Shopkeeper and Lumpy.
I think it was the part where the stormtroopers who have, since raided their home. By the way, they live in a treehouse. We haven't even mentioned that.
Oh yeah, how did they get up there?
I don't know. They're like the treehouse is so high up in the air, and then suddenly, boom, knock knock. Hey, we're here.
Yeah.
There's no surrounding treehouses.
By the way, it's the future, and they're talking to people across massive distances on telecommunication screens, but their door doesn't have a fucking eye hole.
Yeah.
So they open the door blindly to like...
That's pretty bad. And they're like, whoa, hands in the air. Stormtroopers. Yeah, that's true. Wow. God, okay. There's actually still a lot to talk about. So what I wanted to talk about... This will be a special
hour-long episode of the podcast.
I'll try and get my point across here.
If people didn't give up in the first 30 minutes, they're going to be really pleased when we catch steam here in the next 30.
They've been patiently waiting, and yes, finally now.
It probably gets better.
Probably, hopefully, they're just masochists, kind of like us. Okay, so yeah, the stormtroopers are raiding the home or whatever. It's very, destructive, and so, anyways, I guess the parent or Itchy and Mala, Itchy and Scratchy.
No one has a frame of reference on it.
Nobody, yeah, the mom and the grandpa, who's since done with a sex chair. They sit him down and then they put headphones on him.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
like, just, play your game or whatever.
Talk about this.
Yes. Okay. And so he's looking at this little, this screen, I guess.
It's all screens. The whole thing is screens.
Yeah. There's screens everywhere. Just screens. So he's looking down at the screen and...
I want you to get back to that, but
sure.
Every time a screen is about to come on and they're about to either communicate with someone or watch a show or whatever it is, it always starts with the shittiest pixel.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's there's pixels going around everywhere. It's okay, this is
It's yeah.
It would be way more futuristic if you didn't put that in.
All this weird static, this wavy static, or connecting, or a strange snake thing that would go around the screen.
Yeah.
All these weird this is a computer segue.
Yeah.
That's what you actually want to watch. Yeah.
Okay, so
that's
pretty
great. And then so he turns on the screen. That would make a good drinking game, by the way. Every time a screen pops up.
I tried to count, but I couldn't.
We'd be so wasted.
That and Life Day, when they said Life Day, and when there's a screen, if you did that, actually, drinking game. We should do that.
We should do that.
Well, we shouldn't do that because I'm never watching this movie again. But
yeah, you guys should do that.
If you want to,
if you're listening.
Keep an eye out for that. Hey, that's a little gem for anybody that made it 35 minutes into the
podcast. For the one guy who's still listening to this shit. Thanks, man.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, you're awesome, Robert.
So finally, he fires up this screen, and it's this Star Wars cartoon that fires up, right?
Oh, yeah.
Did you forget it? Yeah,
no, I forgot where I was for a second.
You forgot. You're not filming. Never mind. You're recording a podcast.
Tell them about the cartoon, dude.
Okay.
I don't know what you're going to say about it because it was insane.
Well, I mean, first of all, the animation was clearly done by just one guy.
Well,
who had no prior animation experience.
I don't even think it was bad animation as much as it was purposefully distorted. It was
well, yeah. It was strange versions of everybody, right?
Strange versions.
And C-3PO had enormous hips for some reason, childbearing hips.
Han Solo. I mean, honestly, this whole thing might be worth watching. No, actually, just try and find the cartoon. Try and find the cartoon online. The cartoon online, Han Solo is the most insane, grotesque version of.
And his eyes are closed the whole time.
Except for one time he opens it. That's how you know that the cartoonist was doing it on purpose. Because one time towards the end, while he's talking, he like opens one eye creepily. It's like a total like weird acid trip version of like Star Wars that made no sense.
Yeah,
they were riding around on dinosaurs.
Well, so like, what's the story here? So it's the Millennium Falcon, right? Chewie and Han and Luke and Leia, and then I don't know what they're doing. For some reason they crash land on this planet. Okay.
Because of the sleep virus.
Because of the sleep virus. Oh, God.
You can't get too deep into this.
I know. And then this dinosaur kind of attacks him. And then on the back of this major, like, crazy dinosaur planet, this dinosaur is Boba Fett. And that is how the world is introduced to Boba Fett.
I actually want to research that more because I don't understand. He must have been...
He's riding, like, literally this huge dinosaur. And he's, like, slapping it like, yeah.
Well, he also makes one comment that says, "Oh, you're feeding a lower life form. You shouldn't care at all about lower life forms." And then he proceeds to whip his like steed like very aggressively, and it's like, whoa, like that's a weird steed. Yeah, I threw that out there. I guess that's mostly for like horse riding or something.
Sure. Yeah, or enormous dinosaurs.
Yeah. Well, if we, either applies.
Yeah. And then I don't really know where that cartoon goes, but it's...
No, well, yeah, it gets interrupted because the guy comes over.
Yeah, they form a quick alliance with Boba Fett. He's like, I'm trying to help you. And then he turns on them, and then he's like, haha, suckers, I work for the Empire. And then blasts off, and then that's the end of, I think, the cartoon, right? But this whole time, you're kind of forgetting about all this madness at the Wookiee house, and so it's so disheartening. Because all of a sudden it pans back to Lumpy, and you're like, "Oh, that's right. Like it's back to this shitty household."
Yeah.
In this situation, I wish we could have stayed in that weird cartoon.
And by the way, like they created some conflict by like the Empire, like bunking or what words am I looking for? I have no words right now. Like staking out their house? Yeah, they're staking out their house.
Oh, yeah.
And then they get a call that's like, hey, return to base. And so everyone except for one guy returns. And the conflict is resolved because that one guy, like, trips off the balcony and then dies. And it's like, okay, well, problem solved. That was the whole thing. That's the whole movie.
Well, Han Solo pushed him off.
Oh, pushed him off?
Him or Chewie. One of them did. Because remember, Chewie arrived, and then... Yeah, you think the guy was just out there and then he tripped and then fell off?
I don't know, dude. By that time...
He was murdered by Chewie. That was kind of cool. I guess that was the climax. One segment we wanted to do was if you could change the climax of the movie, what would you...
Okay, I got it. I would have the single stormtrooper that was left
murder the entire family.
No, that's a good one, though. No,
pretty dark.
That's messed up, dude.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I would have him pull off his helmet and it was Chewbacca all along.
Oh. And then he like, oh wow, and then he was like, Lumpy, I was trying to teach you how to like clean your room or something.
I tried to clean you how to
clean you. I'll clean you.
Try to teach you how to clean your room, and then what's his lesson for everybody? Like,
dude, that is really funny.
The shopkeeper, he's like, I tried to teach you to stay away from my wife because you're always here, dude. Like, get out of here. And
then everyone apologizes. They're like, I'm sorry, Chewie. I'll try and be a better shopkeeper and son.
Tried to... Oh.
Creepy dad.
Creepy dad. Anyways. What else we got? We got, we're already well over what we were shooting for. I guess one thing worth mentioning...
we didn't talk about the Jefferson Starship performance, but we can just graze over that.
They perform.
Yeah.
At one point...
They perform.
I kind of like the idea of the end just being one-liners. Here's a one-liner.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Can I...
Yeah, go ahead. Sounds like you already are.
The whole...
I'm just kidding.
The whole scene with the bar? We didn't even talk about that.
Oh my god. We did this whole thing wrong. We talked about all the boring shit at the beginning. I know. I have a great note in here with a star that says, make sure you talk about the guy at the bar.
That's all you have?
Yeah, because that's all you need.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, so let's...
So there's a guy at the bar. He's a human.
It's the... okay, so we're back on Tatooine, the planet.
Oh, and how do you get there? Because they look at a screen in the house and it cuts to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
No
then suddenly
explanation.
now it's like, okay, now let's watch this story, which turns out to be real life. I thought it was like a soap opera.
Once again, there's just video cameras everywhere that everyone's peeping in on. Bunch of perverts in this society.
So I guess it's supposed to be the same bar on Tatooine where they go, where the Cantina band is playing the you know the song how
yeah. Or alternatively, it does that, but just a little bit slower. Or their other hit is that, but a little bit faster. Nailed it.
Perfect.
Oh, so good.
So there's the bartender, right? Who I guess was in the Golden Girls.
Yeah, we didn't know that.
Somebody told us that.
Somebody told it to us.
We didn't know because we've never seen that show.
Yeah, we have no idea.
No idea what that's about. And she's serving everybody at the bar, but this one guy in particular who has an enormous hole on his head.
Oh, you skipped the end.
Oh, God.
Yeah, punchline.
Oh, man, I told that joke wrong.
All right, podcast canceled.
Pretend you didn't hear that part.
Yeah, so anyways, there's a guy at the bar. He looks like a normal human for all intents and purposes. And except for the fact that he's got kind of a weird hairdo where it like looks like a volcano. But then he orders a drink and he pours it down a very suddenly visible hole in the top of his. He has a mouth and eyes and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what he uses his mouth for.
Human. Yeah, I don't know.
I guess if you had a hole straight through the top of your head, you would definitely drink through that.
Where's your brain?
Well, okay. Like, aside from that, let's say that you somehow are in this future Star Wars world.
Okay.
You've got a
easy
function. That wasn't the hard part. You've got a functioning everything, but you've got a just giant volcano hole in your head. You can either pour a drink straight through your mouth or just dump it right in your head. You probably just dump it right in your head.
That's a cool like party trick.
Probably throw a hamburger right down there.
Yeah, just whoosh.
Like that. Whoosh.
Yeah, and no chewing. It's just like whoosh. It would make that sound every time.
Yeah.
Where are we going with this? So he's hitting on the bartender. Yeah. So he's hitting on this bartender, right? And she's getting like annoyed with him. He's like trying to offer her flowers and stuff. She's like, get away. And then suddenly there's this announcement, right? Where there's a curfew or something on Tatooine. And they have to close down the bar?
Yeah, again, I mean, it makes no sense.
Well, but then they break out into song, or she does, and that convinces everyone to leave, which they do. And it's a very sad song.
What was the song? I think I wrote down the lyrics.
Something, my friend, good friend.
Say goodbye, my friend. Say goodbye, friend. Say good night, friend.
Yeah.
I don't remember the tune at all.
Well, I think it's the dun 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 dun. And then, yeah, it's Star Wars music in the background.
Hey, what was the Jefferson Starship song we were listening to right before this?
And we can build this thing together, set in stone forever. Nothing's gonna stop us now. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and then whatever, the bar story ends when he offers her a flat. Like, everyone leaves the bar, and then he pops up from behind the bar, volcano head guy, with the flower, and then that's it. But I'm really glad I told that story.
The problem with telling the entire bar scene is that you just told exactly what happened, and we didn't care about it when it was happening, so no one's going to care about hearing it, you know? Like,
well, but it just goes to show you that, you know, that's how this whole movie...
Yeah.
Holiday special, whatever you want to call it, is.
Yeah. But we
all these like nonsensical stories that have no proper ending.
But
they just slap you in the mouth.
It's on us to pick the very best of that or the very worst of that and to bring it to the front. We can't just rehash the entire bar scene.
Yeah. Well, I just did.
You know what? Actually, I'm glad you said that because what I really wanted to happen at the end was for her to take the flower because she clearly wasn't taking to his advances. I wanted her to take the flower and then throw it right in the top of his head like it was a vase.
That would be great. And
vase or vase?
Vase. I think it depends on
If it's really fancy, I think you call it a vase.
Vase. I would probably never call it.
He's definitely got a head vase.
That would be a great way. Maybe that's how it ended, but they just didn't show it.
Oh, it got cut.
Yeah.
Probably.
Because you see her grabbing the flower, but who knows what she did with it.
Deleted scenes, everybody. Check those out.
Maybe she had like a hole on her head that we couldn't see before, and she dropped it down. Whoosh.
Or maybe, yeah. I don't know where I was going to go with that. We need to just move on.
Yeah. Sorry, everyone.
Let's make this one. We're just going to make this one an hour one. So does the whole podcast become an hour? Or?
Well, I mean, I think that, 45 minutes, I think is probably okay.
Listenable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to talk about life? Should we talk about how the movie actually ends, or is it not? It probably doesn't matter at this point, right?
Well, let's ask our listeners.
All right. Dial in, taking 10th caller to tell us, does it matter how the movie ended? All right. Waiting on the 10th caller.
Waiting on the first caller.
Oh, yeah, the first caller.
Yeah, well, let's just assume that they do want to hear how it ends.
Okay.
I'll try.
Do you remember how it ends?
Not really. But I'll try. So, Han Solo and Chewie come in, and whatever. They save the day. Chewie's home, finally, with the family. And the shopkeeper says, have a great life day.
Life Day! I can't believe we've talked about this so little. So funny.
Yeah.
I'm celebrating Life Day next year.
According to your theory, I'm sure the shopkeeper is pissed because now he has to go home alone. He can't
zero action
have his affair.
Right.
This particular night.
Well, I mean, Chewie's leaving almost immediately. He almost left immediately.
That's true. He's never there except for just the holidays.
Right.
Maybe even just this day.
You know what? Maybe Life Day is not Christmas as we know it. Maybe Life Day is a Wookiee mating day. So he only comes back for Life Day because why not?
So you think he was mating with?
Well, I don't know. Whoever. Maybe not. I don't think Wookiees are necessarily monogamous.
Wow.
I think that scene at the end where all the Wookiees were coming together, maybe that's just some...
I don't know if Chewie would be cool with this, though.
What do you mean?
I don't think he'd be okay with it.
That Chewie would be okay with what part of it?
With the shopkeeper hooking up with his...
Oh, no, he would destroy that shopkeeper.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's all, just another quick...
Chewie doesn't know that.
Another quick point.
Chewie doesn't know.
Chewie doesn't know. Don't tell Chewie. Chewie doesn't know.
What movie is that, Road Trip?
Euro Trip.
Great movie, dude.
Great movie. Just, that reminded me of one thing is that these Wookiees, they're these giant, creatures that are super, super strong, right? But suddenly they're so scared of these weak humans that are holding them captive.
I think it was the guns. It was just the guns.
I figured that, but remove the guns and you could just rip them to shreds, right?
Oh, forget about that. One Wookiee, take down, I don't know.
100.
I was going to say 100, but that seemed quite high.
Yeah. 100 children.
Angry children.
The angriest children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that would be easy.
Yeah.
Did we want to talk about...
We didn't really talk about the end. Got off. Okay. So, Chewie saves the day. He's back with his family.
Well, saves the day is a loose term, but yeah.
Right.
He shows up. He actually shows up.
The day got saved.
Yeah. In regards to being a deadbeat dad, Chewie really saves the day.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. And so they celebrate by grabbing these snow globes off the shelf in their living room, these light up snow globes. And so as a family, they grab them and then they come to the center of the living room and they hold up these snow globes towards the sky. And then all of a sudden this beam of light appears and it's their ceremony of Life Day begins.
They walk to a cave, perhaps?
Yeah, and they're all walking towards this life. And
To life?
To this light. Sorry.
You said
I know. Well,
life.
it's hard. Yeah, but in that moment, I thought it was a weird suicide ritual because I thought it was
they were wearing
the afterlife or something.
Red cloaks.
Well, and they're walking towards a light.
Right. Red cloaks don't really have anything to do with suicide. I'm not sure why I said that.
Sounds like a cult thing that maybe you're into.
Cult thing. Yeah. That maybe I'm into.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
you have no idea what I'm into.
I guess not. So, God. And so they all appear in this room together, right? In their red cloaks. And then fucking R2-D2 shows up and C-3PO and Princess Leia and Luke and Han Solo. This exclusively Wookiee ceremony.
Yes. In fact, they recognize that
party crash.
Leia, who is kind of a bitch to Mala, Chewie's wife earlier. Can I just quickly segue to that because I think it's important for this next scene?
Yeah.
At one point, she's on their teleconferencing or whatever, and she's like, Mala says one thing to her, and then Leia's like, "Oh, I don't want to tie up the channels. Can you just put Han Solo or Chewie on?"
Yeah, that was
like what?
That was pretty crappy. It's like
you called my house.
Yeah.
You don't want to tie up the channels? You just want to talk to my husband or my husband's friend?
I think they're trying to get across the fact that she's kind of like a spoiled princess, and she's very like...
I thought it was the fact that she couldn't understand her because she has C-3PO like translating and then she has the shopkeeper come on and then talk to her. But Chewie would just be as much unintelligible. So what's that about?
And tie up the channels, it's like, what does that even mean? They could talk to him whenever they wanted.
Bullshit excuse, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that was messed up. So, flash forward. She clearly disrespected her, and now she shows up. I thought the whole computer screen crashed and deleted this whole thing. I'm like, all right, you know what? But she goes, she gets up on like a pedestal and she's like giving a whole speech and she's like, "This is your day," and she gestures with both hands out towards all the Wookiees. It's like, yeah, this is our day. Why are you here?
Yeah, get the fuck out.
Leave.
Yeah.
You're not in a ceremonial garb.
Right.
You're not a Wookiee.
Yeah.
You have no...
Your hair looks stupid.
It looks stupid. You don't even know what Life Day is.
Right.
I bet she doesn't even know what Life Day is.
No.
She has no idea that this is the one day every 1,000 years that Wookiees make, and she's ruining it.
They have no business being there. And then she breaks out into song, singing to all of them.
What was that song, even?
It was, I don't know what she was saying. It was, I don't know. What was she singing about? Like, this is your day. This is life day.
Did she say that?
Something, and it's
this
I remember she was like, harmony.
Oh, peace. Peace on this day.
On this day, be kind to your friends. I made that up.
Also, Han Solo left. I don't even know how all those people got that back there. It was like, they were like, whatever, it's done. Here it is.
Yeah.
So that's how it ends, everyone. I hope you enjoyed listening about it as much as we enjoyed watching. You know what? I can definitely tell you that however you experience this podcast, it's definitely going to be more enjoyable than what we experienced, which was watching this movie. I think we took most of the good parts and put it in front of you and said, hey, here, how's this taste? And maybe it's not good, but that's the best we have to offer right now.
Yeah. It's better you listen to us talk about it than watch it for yourself, I think.
Except for the cartoon, probably.
Except for the cartoon's badass.
Cartoon's badass.
Only watch that part, but the rest of it, by the end of it, we were just so... Actually, throughout it, I was like, I don't know if I could do this anymore.
Yeah.
It's really bad. It's really, really bad.
You know, you never feel that with Looper, starring Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
It's just a great movie.
It's a great movie.
Go watch that.
That's why people watch great movies, and they don't watch pieces of shit.
Once again, right back down to the R rating.
Down to the R rating?
I know.
Were we at NC-17? Or X even?
Well, that's why, because we're filming the podcast naked. It's NC-17.
So I guess that's it, right?
That's it. Yeah, let's pull the plug. You want to tease what we're doing? Pull the... Like, you don't know that phrase?
Let's kill ourselves. Life Day.
So this is our final thoughts, final words. It's been nice.
Yeah, we're going to do another
podcast.
Another podcast.
We're going to stick with movies with this one.
We're going to stick with movies. No more holiday specials.
Yeah. Well, unless we do.
Well,
holidays are over now.
Yeah.
We did this one because it was kind of timely.
Right.
Yeah, we don't have a movie in mind. If you guys want to suggest one, feel free to send it to us or call in to the show. And
nobody calls it in. We have this. We're not a radio show, but
yeah, we're totally open to suggestions. Just leave it on the page that we haven't made yet. But by the time you're listening to this, it'll probably exist. So
yeah, It's true.
Leave us a message, and then it might not be the 3rd podcast, but it could be like the 9th podcast or the 10th podcast.
Yeah.
So,
check it out. And we'll come up with another great movie to watch next week.
You were doing air quotes, but they couldn't see you.
Yeah. This is a podcast.
All right. Signing out. We're going to cue to our outro song now.
Dun, 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 dun.
No, do the Jefferson Starship.
And we can build this thing together, set in stone forever. Nothing's gonna stop us now. If this world went down in lovers, we'll still have each other. Nothing's gonna stop us. Nothing's gonna stop us now.